Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through my round 8 team preview for AFL Women's Fantasy, going through my trades, etc., and how I've sort of flipped around with different sort of methods of trading this week. One of them was to go a little bit cheaper on the players and then to really start to hone in on trying to get that cash in for the last couple of weeks, because if I can get 200 to 250k on just like one or two more players off the bench, then I can upgrade my forward line a little bit. So I sort of went half and half with that in actually doing a 3 on field sort of swap around, in using the cash from Parker, I think, to downgrade there in that area and to upgrade two of my defensive options. And there is a little bit of scope that that I might change that around, because I just don't know what Priest's position is going to be, and I don't think anyone will know, so it's sort of a shot in the dark plan to see if her position is still down back or whether it's in the midfield. I haven't done enough research into seeing if St Kilda have brought in enough midfielders to cover for her and for her to go down back, or whether she will be stuck in the whether she'll be going into the midfield there. But anyway, before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, we're just 52k remaining is a decent chunk as well, so that'll help, especially if Paris McCarthy can actually do something. If she can do something and get some cash, and say she gets another 30, or say she somehow gets 30 or 40k, then that turns into 100k, and that 100k partnered with Karis hopefully going up another 40, 50, 60k could easily get us, get Wardlaw up to one of the big forwards. But so yeah, looking at the side, Thomas, it's gone up to D1. I don't know if she was necessarily, I don't think she was D1. I think it was Carney or Priest that was D1 before that, in round 7. But if we look here, nope, that's, okay, it actually does do that now. So yeah, you can sort of see Priest was there. Then Carney's sort of stayed in her position, and Thomas has flipped over the top. And then Heads is now out of the side, as well as Priest, and Tiny Evans sticks in her place. And as you can see here, I went for Heads to Stannett is a little bit of a play. It's a little bit of a sort of throw in the dark play. If we go over to Stannett, wow, that's really big. Let's bring it out. Stannett got 72, and she's lined up in the midfield this week on ball, I believe, in the AFLW teams. If we just do this, there we go, then go there, and then there, and then we will swap it over to teams, and this should give us what we want. So as you can see, I first want to show you whichever one comes up. The St Kilda, it actually is in the same game. You'll see here that Hannah Priest is named in the back line, and also we have Stannett named on ball, and Lally and Bowers, and then on the bench you've got quite a fair few. But I think if I just look through my phone whether these Freo girls are on the bench are actually midfielders, I think you'll see that they're probably not actually midfielders. If we look at the player pool, and then we go here, then we go hide that. Then we go to Freo, which will be Walliop. Then we go to the midfielders. So you've got here Hyde, East. So you got Mulder, Reynolds, and Mulder, Reynolds are both midfielders. So that could take away a little bit of Stannett time. So then, if we know that, then we go to DFS Australia, then we go to AFLW, go to CBAs, and we go to Fremantle, Season 8, and then we go to who's actually been having the on-ball time, and we make that a little bit bigger for you guys. So you have obviously Strom, Bowers is coming back in, so let's look at the splits with Bowers in, and it doesn't look the kindest for Stannett. But then you look at where's Miller? Is Miller out? Is that the reason why? Where is the teams? Is Miller, Verrier, and then you've got Lowe. Do you have Miller anywhere here? No, Miller's out. So that could help a lot in getting rid of the mid-time of in Miller. And you see here with Miller, that mid-time should actually slip across to Stannett in my belief. And I believe that Lally's actually getting 100% mid-time, which will be interesting to see with the actual fantasy score, given that if she gets that again, she should have a decent game. But I do think that Stannett will have more midfield time, and that midfield time should help her to score at least in the 60s, 70s, but she could easily, I don't need that anymore, she could easily go and score above, score in the 70s, 80s and stuff like that. How did she do it against the Eagles? She did a 97 off 0% midfield time, which is kind of crazy. But I do think that she will do well, and I just want to check how Lally is. You got a forward here who's got 100% midfield time. So if that midfield time holds, I think she could be a target to get Wardlaw to next week. I think it's a little bit too risky to go Lally this week. But that is actually now a target now looking at it. 60s. What did she do? Let's just look at Lally. 100% and nothing outside of that. So you probably want another game to see how that holds, especially against St Kilda, who should be a slightly weaker side than Geelong. But I do think that Lally is certainly a one that you can target next week. I'm probably already a week behind in that, but probably should have been brought up in the forward discussion this week. But anyway, then you have Thomas, Carney, Emerson, Stannett, and Evans. So they're just chilling there. McDonald will be the loop again. So we'll probably just who has the later game? Essendon West Coast have the later game, so we will use it on Thomas, and you'll see with that's not the right one. I keep on clipping on wrong tabs, so that'll be that way, and I'll be able to activate that loop, I think, because you've got them playing on the Sunday. And I should be able to activate it by 7:15 p.m. on the Saturday if I'm able to get to my phone quick enough. I should be finished with my game by like 6 p.m. So I should be able to at least if I think it's Gardner that I want, and then into Garner, because Marinoff against Brizzy I don't think is the greatest option. Where do they play? They play at 3:05. Okay. So I could do it. I just want to check another thing. I'm going back and forth between a lot of tabs. But let's check Marinoff's scores against Brisbane. So against Brisbane, she scores on average 90 at a 1.48 points per minute. And a 1.48 points per minute is probably roughly around that. Well, it's actually, if you go off these two points per minute, even though they're differing time on ground, if she does take around about she has around about that 90% time on ground, the points per minute gets her to around about that 100 or so range. So you could captain her there, given that but I mean, then again, she does average 124 against other teams, 120 against those teams, etc. So it will be interesting to see if I do captain her. That'll be something that I'll debate today. But I think it will be a Gardner into Garner type captaincy move this week, and we'll just hope that Gardner without a tag will explode this week. But anyway. So we talked about Marinoff. Garner, hopefully she just does well against Melbourne. They won't tag, I don't think, so I'm more looking forward to her just putting up big numbers. Riddell against Melbourne as well, hopefully a big number. Then you have Whitford and Prasparkas. Bringing in Prasparkas was mostly just because of the cash. I can't get any of the other midfielders. and I sort of needed someone, so I just decided to go for Georgie and hope that she has a resurgence against Collingwood. Then you've got Strom against St Kilda, and given the ruck department actually now, look at this. So we've gone from having a choice between, I thought Moffat would outscore her for the rest of the season. I thought Edmonds would outscore her. And I really thought that Good would outscore her as well. Good and Moody, at least one of them would outscore them. I do think Moody will probably still outscore Strom. But then you've basically got Wales. And that's it for Strom. So I think Strom has actually somehow turned out to be the second best or third best ruckman, depending on her and Wales matchup. She could even turn out to be the best ruckman in the run-in with the 3 games to go. So will be interesting to see. I do think Wales goes absolutely huge here against West Coast, which will put her ahead. But I think Strom is on for a big total. And I think that could really help if she just goes strong in the last 3 weeks, as she is owned by 11%, but you've got Moffat owned by 9%, you got Edmonds owned by 9%, you got Good owned by 1%. So you got a lot of people, I'm guessing, in Wales at the moment now. No one in Wales. Seymour, maybe? What is, let's go by average selected. You still got people rolling with Schultz and Davies. I know that's a lot of dead teams, and then Hoare as well. So yeah, the ruck debate could be the one that splits ultimately the winners, to be honest, and it could gain a lot of people a lot of spots. So we'll see how that plays out, but I'm really happy that I have Strom now. Gardner is VC this week, and hopefully she can produce. Wardlaw, Roberts, Single, Malloy. My plan next week is to get Wardlaw or Single or Malloy up to, if we go here, and as you can probably tell by some of the variations, just given where the players are positioned, I had a variation where I had Goldsworthy actually coming in, and I had, that's why Wardlaw was sitting at F2, because I had her traded out for Goldsworthy in one of the variations. You got Robert, Single, Wardlaw, Malloy. So just hoping for something big out of those girls. Wardlaw's probably the one that I don't trust the most, so I'm gonna probably trade her out this coming week for someone, and we'll just see. Maybe I can get away with putting in Lally and then upgrading Single to one of the big midfielders. And we'll see how that goes, because Lally will probably go up 120, 130k. So if I can go Wardlaw, Single, and Malloy, that would give me 2,400. So I'd have to find another forward that's like 900k, which is not fun to find. If we go by round points, you'll see it's possible, but I will see what happens there. It may mean that I have to stick with Malloy for 1 week more, as we wait for, as I use someone like a Huntington or a Brown to get those girls up, but we'll wait and see on that, or just try and bank the cash from Huntington and move her on to another one that actually isn't really scoring enough to be any worthwhile. But anyway, that pretty much concludes the team preview video, as I've gone through the whole side, etc. And that's probably, with the trades, going to be my side, trading out Heads, Priest, and Parker for Pressparkus, Eamonson, and Stannett. A wild swing in the dark that's probably going to fail miserably, but I might as well go for it, honestly. As I'm just trying to see if I can get into that top. I think at 7-17 with 3 rounds to go, I think a good goal for this team would be top 350. I think if I can half the rank from here, that would be a good goal, as the top teams are over 700 points ahead of me, so I'm not going to finish like first. Could I finish, just looking here at the teams, if you actually look at the splits here, I'm only, and I know that it'll be hard to catch up to these people, but if you actually look at the splits, the top 100, I'm only actually 300 points out. And if you look at a lot of these teams, like I gained 90 points on a team here. And admittedly, a lot of these teams are gaining points on me, or just slightly. But like, if I can gain 100 points on most teams, which would be tough, but if we do have a Hall or a Morrison go down injured or something like that, that would actually be preferable as they're highly owned as a forward line. But I think I can do it. If just I need these like Prisparkis to somehow hit and just go crazy, even though she is so highly owned. Which would probably mean that so it probably does mean that I need Rowbottom to not do well, or if we look at the percentages of players owned in the midfield, it's and then or Bowers not to do well, Hatchard as well. You sort of need there's sort of 3 or 4 players that I need not to do well. I mean, I could go for Bree Davey, who's 95 in the last 3, but she did have a 69 against Essendon, and only really has 2 big scores and then 2 sort of mediocre scores. So I don't really like the look of that. Nanscorn doesn't score high enough. Conti, I don't think is in my price range anyway. And then you have McDonald as well, who's only had 2 big scores anyway, so I wouldn't be going for her. And Benici is sort of not doing anything as well, having 300s. But yeah, that pretty much is the video, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.